Actual Game of the Year 2020 Hades is one that I love dearly, but having not touched it for more than 2 years since its release, I wanted to start a fresh save file to see how many runs I need to beat the final boss. Will Zagreus fall in love? Which gods will he call upon? Will his daddy issues be resolved? Let's find out. Right off the bat, the game throws you straight into the action in Run 1, which I was not expecting since I thought you started off in the House of Hades, where you don't even get any upgrade in the first area, but let's soldier on ahead with Old Faithful the Stygian Blade. Combat felt surprisingly snappy, where I recalled that I actually hate the sword the most since it has one of the shortest ranges in the game, which is a big problem. Our first upgrade is from the goddess Athena, where Divine Dash is one of the most powerful abilities in the entire game, which allows you to deflect projectiles, and more critically, avoid damage when doing so. Lady Artemis was next, where I was still trying to figure out my preferred mode of attack with this weapon, and ultimately went with more crit and damage on the basic attack. Dash attack was a godsend here, where I'll be honest, I did watch IGN's speedrun and devs react video before starting this playthrough, hoping perhaps to emulate some of that strategy. Keep watching to see if that works. 5 rooms in and I was feeling pretty good about myself, no damage taken so far, which is unexpected, with the Palm of Power upgrade of course going to the primary attack since Divine Dash is not for damage. The next room had a bunch of elite armoured numbskulls where their fast attacks might be a problem, but the yellow power of armour makes them immune to stuns and knockbacks. Thankfully, the crit damage and dash attack were powerful enough to dispatch them quickly. This next room gave us a Centaur Heart or 25 more health points, so it's all looking pretty good right now. I don't really like Dionysus boons, so I chose the coin instead, hoping to pick up a better boon in the shop before the boss. I did intend to go into the run, trying to maximize in-run upgrades, and not so much on the meta currency like Darkness, but the game does force you into situations where you can only choose between those. And I did suffer my first damage of this run from a stray projectile while being too aggressive. Armoured enemies gave me a little bit of a problem here, which led to more damage taken, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Quick and easy room with another Centaur Heart, so we're certainly getting somewhere. And what do we have here? The God of War Ares, whose curse abilities are powerful, but I wanted to go for pure damage. Made it to the first boss on the first run, which is nice, where as a side note, Megara is referred to as Zagreus' Axe, so there is certainly something going on, but I was familiar with her attack patterns despite not having played for 2 years. The short range of the sword was giving me trouble, getting caught in her whip attack, from being a little too aggressive, getting down to a sliver of health, and yep, that's how the first run ended.
Drown in the river Styx.
Not to worry, a roguelite means you get to play run after run, where you get to chat with that
stupid boy,
the Night Goddess Nyx and more, getting to reinvest some darkness to get permanent upgrades, which forms the basic loop of this game. However, I am a dash heavy player, but didn't have enough for the upgrade, so it's off to Run 2. But before that, we unlocked a new weapon in the Heart-Seeking Bow. Run 2 always begins with Lord Uncle Zeus, god of thunder and lightning attacks, comboing quite nicely with the ranged special, which sprays arrows out. More regular resources until we once again hit the God of War, adding revenge for extra damage whenever I got hit. This might combo nicely with Zeus later on, but we'll have to see if that upgrade shows up. Dashing away and keeping enemies at range so far meant that no damage was taken. I thought that this next boss room would be tough, since the armoured Doomstone can be a big problem without area control, but spamming the lightning special made short work of it, although Zagreus did not come out unscathed. Artemis was next, which combos nicely with Zeus and Ares, where the passive plus 3% crit chance would help in damage output. I was feeling a little lazy in this run, so it was a lot of spamming lightning special, but the aim and release piercing primary attack is quite a good alternative. This arena is good for fighting off enemies with a ranged weapon, since you can dash to get out of the way, so it's another easy clear as the timer ticked down.
enough.
We then came across Sisyphus and chose more gold, resulting in 2 nice upgrades from the shop before the boss fight. Here is where you'll see the bow begin to shine, since crit in the primary attack takes off huge chunks of health, and I could use the lightning special for crowd control and to get rid of projectiles. A little bit more of this and Meg was easy work, although I did take more damage than I would have liked. The lava area of Asphodel is next, with the crit and lightning attack for crowd control continuing to be a pretty decent combination. The next upgrade was from Artemis, which resulted in the Lightning Rod dual boon with Zeus, an excellent option for passive damage, since your cast attack, indicated by the red gem thing, will occasionally summon up lightning strikes in an area around it, which you will see the effectiveness of. Unfortunately, since this was still an early run, I only had one of these to play with, but it was still good damage output. I was caught a little off guard in the next room, and was forced into a Poseidon upgrade in this mini-boss room no less, where the Mega Gorgon Elite Skull Crusher combination was a pain in the butt. I forgot to use the Lightning Rod as well, but managed to scrape through on just 3 HP. Thankfully, rather than getting a knockback style boon, I chose Sunken Treasure instead, which immediately gave me some resources, and more critically, health. Nothing of note in this next room, but then I had to make the interesting choice between an Artemis upgrade or more health, and given where I was, decided on the latter. This room was tough as well, and I was missing Divine Dash in particular, but managed to get through this. It's the shop before the boss, which did not have a great selection that would have immediately helped, but more resources is always a good thing. The Bone Hydra is next, where, fun fact, this is the same Hydra that Hercules slayed, now ending up in the underworld as this undead guardian. The added range of the bow was a godsend in this fight, since I was able to stay out of the way of the ground slam attacks, with the tried and true combination working wonders, although I did add in the lightning rod cast into the mix for added damage. Things got dicey as he summoned the last set of heads, but the range of the bow is OP. I was pretty surprised with myself at this point in time, managing to make it to the third area in just run 2, where this is probably my most hated area of the game due to the respawning Exalted Warriors, where you need to quickly defeat their soul, if not they will just get back to full health. Adding to the woes is the Soul Catcher, an annoyance more than anything with the butterfly attacks, but they are pretty tanky and do take a lot of damage. The arenas here are also filled with traps, some of which do a lot of damage, so I had to be careful. I was lucky and got 2 Centaur Hut rooms in a row, putting me in good condition in terms of health. One thing to note in Elysium is that you should try to avoid the boss rooms if possible, since the one-on-one Minotaur fight or the Mega Soul Catcher is a pain in the butt as well. So I opted for the shop, even though I couldn't really afford anything. Same logic applied for the next room and the next, since I wasn't particularly fancying my chances against those monsters at this point in time. Unfortunately, the next room was filled with
great shields,
an enemy which blocked damage from the front, and the ability to fire projectiles, but I was lucky in that these were not the elite variants. I went for the safe option with health regen from Charon's Well, since I knew we were creeping up on the boss soon. Another hut meant that Zagreus was pretty beefy, where you can see how annoying these Elysium Warrior enemies are in this room. I chose more gold here since I wanted another boon before the boss, where I was waiting out for a good dash or cast boon to pick. There was a great selection in the shop with Ares, another heart and a health restore, and while the Ares boons were not that great, I picked up the health since I was just 1 gold short, which is sad, but onto the boss. The combination of Theseus and Asterius is a tough one, and I remember hitting a straight brick wall when I came across these two, where the trick is to take out the Minotaur first, but apparently I was not listening to myself. You'll see why soon enough, where Theseus summons up support from the Olympians which controls the arena, and with the bow charging at you, his throwing attack and the spin attack, my health was quickly eaten up.
back to the hell that spawned you.
Not bad for someone coming back to the game after all this time, where returning to the house shows you Hades being a complete ass. I had enough resources for a number of nice upgrades, including the all-important extra dash, stopping to chat with Mag before heading out once again. We have a new weapon available with
Aegis, Shield of Chaos.
one of my favorite weapons due to the powerful block, and more importantly, the Ricochet special throw, which allows me to hit and run. In fact, I completed my only 32 heat run ever with the shield, so it's powerful in the right hands. Run 3 introduces the Daedalus Hammer, which soups up your weapon and can be combined with boons, where Explosive Return is pretty powerful early on, and I always spam special with the shield anyways, so it was a no-brainer. Unfortunately, the game decided to give me Poseidon first, where I thought that I might try the knockback build that this god is known for. The combination of the double dash and the explosive return meant that I was clearing out rooms very quickly, since smashing enemies into walls does cause extra damage and can be pretty powerful, but not super useful in Asphodel. It's another Doomstone fight where I got into rhythm after a bit with the explosive return clearing out the smaller stones. Another Poseidon boon here, where I chose to go with the epic upgrade, but in hindsight, should have gone for Typhoon's Fury instead. Dash was OP against Numbskulls, chancing upon Sisyphus and Bodhi for more coin. The super mobile dash and splash was the strategy in the next room, quickly clearing that up and getting the lucky roll for Ares for the Doom special, so now we're getting somewhere, although Poseidon and Ares don't really combo well together. Explosive Return and Doom were the main damage dealers, where simply letting the shield fly around and hit things was super effective while still managing to stay out of danger. Easy. Asphodel showed the limits of this build since dashing into enemies exposes you to attack, so I definitely prefer Divine Dash, where I knew that I had to get more damage off Doom, so the Pom upgrade went to that. The Eurydice's encounter in Asphodel is a must-get, where luckily, the Doom special did get an upgrade as well. Dashing around, hitting enemies and letting Doom do the work was great, so I didn't have too much trouble. I don't really like Aphrodite builds, so I chose the shop, where Zeus and Poseidon can be a powerful combo. The infamous
Barge of Death
was not a problem, since the confined area made knockback more powerful, where I didn't get the Divine Dash that I wanted to replace Tidal Dash. More running and Doom here, which I have found to be a relatively safe way to play, and with no cash available, I had to go for the free Pom for even more Doom damage. The Hydra fight was a piece of cake, where again, the added dash increased mobility, and the hit and run strategy with Doom made short work of the hits. Elysium again, where at this point the Doom was pretty souped up, making the first room a breeze. More health to give me more buffer for the boss fight, where the splitters in the next room made me miss Divine Dash. I don't know why, but I chose gold here, and for the next room chose Ares despite the mini boss fight, since I wanted to get some chance of a dual boon, so it was the boss soul catcher which I thought would have been a problem, but dashing out to take out the souls before they regenerated was a good strategy. I love Ares builds, so I give him the Nectar to get the keepsake to force an Ares upgrade, getting a general damage increase. Chariots here are big tanky enemies, and it was not the ideal arena, so I took some damage, but it was just a flesh wound and wasn't too bad. Thankfully, no great shields here, so I survived the next room, where you'll see how powerful a Doom build can be in the next room. You'll see why I hate great shields, especially with the shield special, where the Poseidon upgrade gave me an interesting choice. I wasn't feeling too good about my build right now, especially against Theseus and Asterius, but you got to play the hand that you're dealt, with the Athena upgrade once again denying me Divine Dash. Another exciting fight, but it was simply not enough damage output, with the Aphrodite call from Theseus really kicking my butt in this case. Same old brick wall, I suppose, so it's on to run 4. I finally got my first Death Defiance upgrade to give me another life, so to speak, along with more backstab damage and more upgrades. I took the Ares keepsake to force his upgrade, foolishly choosing the Stygian Blade again due to the extra darkness boost it promised, but had a plan despite the range. That was Slicing Shot, where veterans might have an idea of what I'm going for, so let's see if I get there. You'll notice that I don't really use the cast yet, instead relying on the special attack and using that for crowd control, but let's see if that plays a part later. The Daedalus Hammer really gave me no choice, where I chose the Chop for the quick in and out attack, rather than the 3-hit combo. Tested out Chop in the next room, but got a little too close and took damage, and my god, the range of this weapon I swear is just the worst. Continued to upgrade my Slicing Shot and took way too much damage again against elite witches, so my luck has to change soon, right? Didn't go for the Trove since the reward was darkness, and I didn't want to risk more damage this time. Another chaotic fight here, but I went all choppy chop chop for the next couple of rooms, rolled the dice at the shop, and woohoo! My prayers were answered with Lady Artemis, adding more crit to the chop and setting up for something big. You can see the improvement from run 1, where the crit chop really helped me whittle mag down very quickly, but again, the range is a huge disadvantage with this weapon. Enemies in Asphodel were no match for the crit chops, but I got set on fire from dashing around too much. Eurydices again, and with only 2 boons, these were confirmed upgrades, which was pretty sweet. The promise of the Artemis boon tempted me to go for the mini boss fight, where again, I took a chunk of damage but managed to get the Gorgon down relatively quickly. Artemis didn't get me the upgrade I wanted, where improved crit against armor seemed like a good alternative. Thinking ahead to Elysium, I went for the Trove Trowel in this area since it promised healing, and it turned out for the better since I got back to full health. Another roll of the dice at the shop, and...
Perhaps our skill sets once were met.
yes! Hunting Blades was exactly what I was fishing for, since this upgrade causes Slicing Shot to chase after foes and is one of the most powerful upgrades in the entire game. Let's test it out against the Hydra. Watching the footage back, it turns out that Crit Chop was actually doing most of the damage, but it felt good to have Hunting Blades in my back pocket heading into Area 3. Again, the limited range was a problem, where things got a little too close for comfort at the end, but another boss down. The Evergreen Acorn Keepsake blocks the first few instances of damage in the area boss fight, certainly a good thing to have, and there's no point in trying to level the god-specific Keepsake at this point in time. It was around here where I began to doubt my strategy, given that I only had 1 Bloodstone available to cast, since you can get upgrades for up to 3 eventually, but we'll see how this plays out. The idea was to use Hunting Blades and cast and forget, running away and minimizing the use of the sword, but the Rift was not doing enough damage yet, needing a few more crucial upgrades from Ares. Still, it was eating up enemies, but I was still having problems with the melee range. The shop gave me my beloved Divine Dash, where I usually run this setup and was feeling pretty comfortable, but desperately needed the health, which was granted by this mystery man, more to be revealed later. The lack of a ranged option made the Kamikaze Flame Wheel a pain in the butt, where I was desperately relying on heals between rooms to stay alive, but things were not looking good. Not helping were the elite Great Shields and Chariots in this room, where combat just felt horrible, but I managed to get an upgrade for an extra cast for the next couple of rooms. This helped with the Flame Wheels as I was able to cast and run, with the homing rifts really helping to destroy those enemies. Still not doing great in the health department, but the heals in between rooms helped. I got Lightning Reflexes from Zeus, which adds some extra damage, which, given how much I dash around, should add up as well. And now comes the moment of truth. Will I be able to beat these two? Firing off Blade Rifts right off the bat chewed up a nice portion of the health, where I was feeling good so far. The more stationary Theseus was an easier target for the Rifts, so despite common knowledge, I decided to get rid of him first. The Bull was tricky to target with the cast, since I had to get close enough where my heart was pounding out of my chest at this moment, with 40% of his health still remaining. You'll see how many near-miss lightning reflexes are triggered here, and with just 9 health remaining, I scraped through. Luckily, holding on to my Death Defiance as well, and onto the final area in just run 4. The Temple of Styx is a tricky area, where I thought that the Blade Rifts would work well due to the confined areas, but was then reminded of how durable and dangerous some of these enemies are. The satyrs with the poison darts are just the worst, as are the environmental traps, where I really hate this dual spinning saw blade room, since there are poison vents everywhere, elite snake stones, super durable giant rats, and just enemies everywhere, again being whittled down to just 9 health and losing my Death Defiance in the process. Severely injured and weary, Zagreus dies a most ignoble death from a tiny rat that burrowed out of the ground from right under his feet. Whoops, I forgot to record the upgrades but got another cast, choosing the newly unlocked Spear for this run. Run 5 introduces calls into the mix, where you can call upon your powerful Olympian relatives to aid you in battle, but they always give you Poseidon's call first, so that immediately introduces him into the pool of possible gods that you can find. While in theory, the spear is a melee weapon, the range of the basic attack is so great that it might as well be a ranged weapon, but the addition of the special where you can throw it makes it even more OP. I don't like the spin attack, so the triple stab upgrade was chosen, where I was hoping to get Zeus on the primary attack. The next rooms were all stabby fun, where the epic Ares upgrade on the special was too good not to take. maybe I could have similar success to run 3. I immediately got another Ares room where the Doomstone didn't give me problems. Doom doesn't really stack, so putting that on the fast attacking primary would be a waste, and with only one Death Defiance, Bloody Frenzy wasn't very good either, so the logical choice was Blade Dash, which isn't my favourite, but it has its uses such as against Flame Wheels in Elysium. Not sure why I wasn't throwing my spear in this next room, but got around to that in the final encounter, and with limited gold, went for the Pom for more Doom damage. Predictably, the first boss will go as expected, staying far away and using Doom to inflict the damage, but the backstab from recalling the spear is some nice added bonus. Take note of that for later. I got rid of Poseidon's Call and was still fishing for an Artemis upgrade at this point. Doom's Spear proved highly effective in Asphodel, even being able to damage Skull Crushers while they were in the air. I got a Trowel of the Gods, which I recommend you always choose since, while tough, you get 2 upgrades in one room, but can be hugely damaging to your health. Unfortunately, I forgot that having Poseidon as an enemy here is a big pain, since the waves he summons does track you and should have gone the other way and pissed off Ares instead. But once again, Sunken Treasure helped to get back some of the health. Again, I don't like Dionysus upgrades, so I decided to skip, going for the Pom to get more Doom damage. It was a no-brainer between Ares and Aphrodite, since I wanted to get more Doom upgrades, but the special made short work of the Witches. Not sure why I chose Cast right here, probably thinking about hunting blades again, and with plenty of money, headed to the shop, deciding to hold off on Zeus for now, even though in hindsight, lightning on the primary would have been great. Hydra fight again, and the Doom damage made short work of the boss, together with the Acon, meant that I was able to get through with relative ease. Still don't have a boss fight without damage taken so far, but with the fountain right after every boss, it was not that big of a concern for me. A second hammer upgrade awaits, where I decided to make this special even more powerful in addition to the Doom effects. Here, Backstab shines through, being able to take out the Great Shields, with Rift Dash taking care of the Flame Wheels as expected. Another Ares upgrade, and I got Black Metal instead of Impending Doom, since I was still trying to utilize the cast and dash, but again, I should have focused on just one path. Avoiding the Elysium mini-boss again forced me into another heart, where I don't like this arena as well since there are a ton of traps. Great Shields are less of a problem now with the Spear and Doom, but can still catch you off guard in large numbers, so I had to be careful. Where the Hermes Side Hustle upgrade is great in the Temple of Sticks since you can quickly amass quite a chunk of change. No Doom upgrade from the Pom meant it went to cast, where I got pretty low in health in this next area, which was not a good thing going into the boss fight. More damage taken here, but I got another heart to compensate, where I was desperate and got a Poseidon boon, which did not help with the fight, where the Pom and more Doom was the way to go. Half health against these two is not a good place to be in, but being the third time I'm fighting them, I did kind of get used to the attack patterns, focusing once again on the more stationary Theseus first, even without hunting blades. I like Ares' Greater Call, since it turns you into an invulnerable Blade Rift, where unfortunately, the bow cost me my Death Defiance, so a bloody, drawn-out war still resulted in Zagreus being victorious. Luckily, I managed to buy back the Death Defiance at a cost of 200 gold, but that left me severely depleted for the temple. Let's hope things go my way. Athena and Bronze Skin would help with survivability, where I was still looking for Artemis Primary, so that was the first tunnel chosen. The Rift and Stabs really helped in stun locking basic enemies, but I was worried about the huge arenas and satyrs that dropped from the ceiling, which came through in the final room. Thankfully, not too many elite variants here, but it was still annoying, and while I did get my Artemis basic attack, it was the low rarity version. The next obvious choice would be Zeus, again trying to avoid the mini-bosses here, and I ran into the bane of my existence with the stupid dual saw blades room. It took me way down from 179 health to a near 69 after, where Ares once again came in clutch. I took revenge damage since there wasn't a better choice, so it's on to the next tunnel, hoping and praying that I would find the sack, and here it was, meaning that I could face the final boss in just run 5.
Wow. Oh, of course.
Being the first time I faced Hades in over 2 years, I had to get used to his attacks again, and even though I remembered all of them, it was timing and space that were the issue. I also did not have any powerful dual boons to rely on, so I was relying on the stick and move Doom build to save the day, triggering the invulnerable call whenever possible so that I got some respite. Fun fact, if you get hit by the skull and the screen cracks up with these green lines, that means that you are going to take double damage, so the bottom line is do not get hit by any of these, where an amplified spear lunge cost me the Death Defiance. Still, Hades was almost down with my boy Ares once again coming in for the save. Unfortunately, Hades has a second phase where getting caught in the Urn's attack will stun you and is very dangerous. You can hide behind pillars to avoid the laser attack and things were going well. I was thinking, this is it, while having my heart thumping away. A lunge, skull shots and a Nova attack quickly brought me crashing back down to reality, but at least I was still making progress. I was so close, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it, picking the spear once again for run 6. The immediate hammer upgrade gave me great selections, where knowledge about the power of the backstab definitely pulled me one way. A
Chaos!
Gate right out of the way is fantastic, since the penalties are relatively low and the enemies relatively easy, where of course, plus damage to special would be a great advantage for this run. More enemies would not be an issue, with the Doom Spear build special again being what I was building towards. Although I only got the basic version, which is lower damage. Some sloppy play here with the numbskulls, but more gold was what I needed for the shop, with the Doomstone fight being a pain, but Lady Artemis once again saves the day, where more crit is always better. You see the power of the spear special here, where lining up the shot just right lets you skewer enemies effortlessly. The upgrade of the Chaos Boon made the special even stronger, so I wasn't too concerned with Mag hitting in. Picked up a Pom with more Doom damage, so the lethality of the spear throw was increasing with every upgrade. More easy clears and onto another Trowel of the Gods, where I learned my lesson and opted to piss off Ares for now. Artemis didn't offer great upgrades, where the extra damage from the greater call might come in clutch. The relatively slow moving Ares attacks were easy enough to avoid, and with the OP Spear special, I quickly made short work of the elites, where I picked up revenge damage for more Doom, saving a little bit of cash, so I picked the heart and it's on to the next boss. Backstab damage came in clutch, where 100 damage from Doom was pretty sweet as well, making quick work of Meg for the run. Switch to the Acon to minimize boss damage, where the first room of Asphodel brought a blessing from Hermes, where epic level side hustle is too good not to pick up, especially this early in the run and with the tempo coming up. The one thing that the spear doesn't have is a great way to clear projectiles, but dashing around and repositioning was sufficient. So far so good with full health remaining, where another Ares boon was the reward of beating the Witch's Circle. I'm not above cheesing fights and using stuns to stay safe, where I was going all in on special and picked up plus 13% more damage on that. I got lucky with free Centaur Hearts as well, and was getting pretty beefy, which should certainly help with survivability in the long run. I took the path of least resistance here by avoiding the mini-boss encounter, but elite foes and their armor were beginning to pose a problem. I wonder if I can resolve that later. Onto the final shop and another Ares boon, but it was not that great a selection, where Impending Doom is a must for Doom builds, so I picked that up. Didn't get the Eurydice encounter that I wanted, meaning that I was working with low rarity Doom, but you just gotta roll with it and make the best of the situation. Backstab continued to shine, with the range of the throw allowed me to keep out of harm's way, taking only 1 damage in the process from stepping in lava. In Elysium, you of course have to pick the hammer over gold, which gave me the cherry on top of the cake, Breaching Skewer, which increased damage against armor by 400%. Now we're cooking. There were no armored enemies to test this on in the next room, so you'll have to wait, where I decided on Common Battle Rage to get even more damage. The shop had a heart, and another Ares upgrade, where the epic upgrade was too good not to pick up, even though I wasn't really using it at this point in time. I was still looking out for Athena's Divine Dash, which unfortunately pushed me into a fight with the Minotaur, where every battle with the bull is a bruiser and I did not come out unscathed. So avoid these fights if you can, where, thank the gods, Divine Dash was right there and my basic build was complete. The super chunky chariots were in the next room, where staying far away and avoiding their charge is a great strategy not to get hurt. Health was low due to the Minotaur fight, so I had to play it safe, where Bridging Skewer really did chew up that armor. Spent a little bit of gold on health restore, with armored flame wheels in the next room possibly being a problem. But I managed to use the range to my advantage. Fountain Room with a Centaur Heart got me back to full health, with this next room not being a problem due to the extra armor damage. I didn't want to bother with the trove and decided to save some extra cash for the temple, so let's see if that pays off later. This time, I went for the more conventional approach of focusing down the Minotaur first and keeping Theseus on the other side of the arena, with the Acorn coming in clutch and preventing a lot of damage. I was a little too aggressive in pursuing the Minotaur and got hit a little more than I would have liked.
Oh, Goddess Demeter, I must have your support!
Theseus unfortunately called upon Demeter, who is the most annoying to deal with in this arena, with the combination of attacks that go over the entire area and the freezing vortexes which slow you down, unfortunately costing me a Death Defiance. Beaten, bloodied and bruised, this was tougher than expected, having to buy back the Death Defiance for a second life. Into the temple in a relatively neutral position, where the low-level Curse of Pain was hurting my efficiency, so I picked up Poms to try to boost the damage. Nothing too tempting in the tunnels, so I went with the Heart first, where Snake Stones were giving me a lot of problems due to their range and their laser attacks. Had to switch up to the more aggressive dash attack when dealing with Vermin, where the dreaded double saw blades room awaited. Same issue with the lasers here, but this time no satyrs, so it was not too bad. Stabbing rats, dash attack the vermin, and cheesing satyrs got me to the end of the next tunnel, where after restoration, I was about as ready as could be, with full health and a Death Defiance, picking up just one more Pom for the road with more revenge damage.
I'm here, Father. Come on.
It is time. I started off the fight by staying away, throwing the spear and using Divine Dash to deflect the skulls, where hopefully this would allow me to avoid the same fate as in the last run. And of course, I got hit by a skull again, but stayed safe enough to avoid a huge chunk of damage. The first wave of minion summons was easy, since no Exalted spawn, with the extra armor damage really helping here. Same thing for the second wave, where a greater call from Artemis took out a chunk of health. Feeling pretty good up to this point at the first stage, where I was still at full health with the shield still up. This was immediately broken in the second phase due to the first mover attack, so I was not out of the woods yet, where hiding behind columns is the way to go. Things got pretty dicey with the urns, and I'm not sure how I avoided damage here, where the triple beam was easy enough to avoid with the dash, more poking away at Hades before I got hit with a laser attack for a little bit, giving me just enough juice for a greater call, but it did tinge the screen red due to low health. Another couple of super aggressive attacks from Hades, and I got caught in a swing, being down to 0 Death Defiances and my last chance, where this had the potential to go very wrong. My heart was pounding again, and I even got stunned by an urn, but luckily Hades was far away and could not capitalize. One more special later and Hades falls off screen due to Doom, so there you have it, 6 runs to clear the game after 2 years, with more of my favourite roguelites in this video.
No escape.